Hi, my name is Maria Carmo. I'm the host of this channel. And if you are looking for a stake pool to delegate to your ADAs, please consider cards. And if you like to be an entrepreneur and have your node factory, your license, your hyperring, your AI box, H1, H2, H3, or maybe other models, please check the links in the description. We got it all organized for you, and I hope you enjoy the interview.
I just want to do a disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. Everything that we are talking here is just to educate the Hypercycle community. Hello, Ray. How are you? How are you doing?
Pretty good. Been in a bunch of meetings. Everybody's curious about Hypercycle these days.
Everyone is so curious about what your team have been doing, what you have been building, because innovation have this type of things that we are waiting for a little while until everything start busting in a lot of news. And I think for the time the community have been waiting a little bit for some news, I think soon we're gonna have so many things happen in Hypercycle that we're not gonna even have a time to cope with everything. Is that right?
That's right. There's a lot of pipelines and a lot of really exciting things that are being built within those pipelines. And a lot of it is soon, soon, soon. It's a very pioneering, cutting edge innovation that we're bringing to market. For that reason, there isn't this established roadmap that says, at this date you're going to see this and this. Because there's also adaptation. We're responding to where the market's going, how AI is evolving very quickly right now. But there is a foundation, there's an architecture to Hypercycle that attracted me to the project. And I can speak briefly to why I'm here, what even brought me to crypto in general, but specifically Hypercycle. I've been with Hypercycle since October of 2023. I started like many people in their Telegram community, and I had a positive voice, supportive, intelligent, technical. My home base in crypto is Cardano. I started as a stake pool operator there. I was the 50th pool to register on July 29th in 2020 in Shelly Mainnet. Grow Pool's my pool. I've been there since with my mission there. And so with Hypercycle, what magnetized me is my interest in AI specifically is the capacity that it has to serve humanity, right? To serve us in pushing the power that we have centralized in the center out to the edges, right? So one of the biggest problems I see in the world is that 99% of the wealth flowing in the world is tied up in 1% of its population. So 1% of the population of the planet decides where 99% of its wealth goes, right? And so my hope is that with crypto and AI, where they intersect, we can start to move that power, that wealth that's concentrated out to the edges and start to create economies of wealth creation at the edges. And I see Hypercycle as being a tool, as being a way to do that. Specifically, the way I see Hypercycle building the architecture of Hypercycle, very similar to our brain, right? We think of what we know about how our brain functions and even perhaps how consciousness arises from brain function. Um, you can think of each node in the Hypercycle network as being like a neuron, right? And in the Hypercycle world, we call the neuron an AIM. It's an AI model, but really it's any application or service that you can put into a container. And from a technical perspective, that container is it's just a Docker container that runs on the Linux operating systems. For those of you who are building applications in that space, Python developers and all you guys, all you developers, you understand what that is. And so that's the fundamental unit. And the node itself that's enabled by a node factory is now this neuron that can start to talk to other neurons and create a neural network. So my hope is that Hypercycle becomes the community and the culture around the emergence of AGI, artificial general intelligence. I would like to see a super intelligent entity actually grow up in the community around Cardano, around Hypercycle, around the philosophy of decentralization and sovereignty, things that are aligned with humanity and serving humanity. And specifically, my hope is that we all together are building something that is going to ally with us in these battlefields of AI that we know are coming, right? There's AI, there's military AI, there's greedy AI, there's all these different things that are happening out there, and they're going to become really strong, very powerful entities in our world. So I want to be part of building AI that's beneficial, that is allied with us, with humanity, with serving us, and
Benevolent.
yeah, that's my
Yeah.
hope. Benevolent, beneficial, intelligent, and even empathic AI that can help serve us in our path here on this planet as we evolve with all these emerging technologies. So that's the basis for why I'm here, and what drives me. My passion for this space is coming from solving that problem, moving that wealth out to the edge, and starting to create new wealth creation economies in places that right now are experiencing poverty, right? And so keeping the entry points low, which right now they are, which is one of the advantages to being where we are in the market and this stage in the evolution of this technology. The entry points are fairly low right now. And it's easy for us to educate and start to bring people in at those edges so they can start to build their presence, their business, their enterprise. With in the case of Hypercycle, if you own a node factory, which is the basic unit of a license and token that have been bonded together in what they call a marriage, you're also a business owner. That one node factory makes you a business owner. You own a business in the marketplace that we're building right now. One of the things in the pipeline, you can bring your business, your node, into the marketplace and say, hey, this is what it costs for you to use my resources, for you to use my node. And now you start to create a supply demand marketplace where people are providing compute with their appliances and their compute resources, CPU, RAM, all that stuff. And then the licenses also that are driving and enabling that and creating a nice supply demand marketplace between those two. And now you have a place that enables what Hypercycle is calling the Internet of AI, right? I can say more to that, but I'd like, I don't know if you have a question on what I've said already, or any comments that you want to make.
Ray, there is something that I also want to ask that's a little bit about income. We can get
There's three ways right now. One of the primary way to get income right now is when you create a node factory. That node factory, it becomes part of a node pool over at nodemarket.io, right? So it's kind of like a reward pool for participating. It's about 7%. So 7% APR is what you see on the node factory. The larger the node factory and the allocation, the more rewards you see, right? And all you have to do is create a node. You don't have to do anything else. You go to the node factory app, you create the node factory, you take the same wallet that you use to create that node factory, you go to nodemarket.io, you connect the wallet there, and you will see the rewards that you're gaining. You can claim the rewards to their claim portal. It's super easy. It's very well done. Hats off to those guys for that. The other income opportunities are in the pipeline, right? So there's a marketplace that we're building, and that marketplace is going to allow either the Hyper AI box, we're calling it the Neuron now, to say, hey, I've got a neuron that has this compute. I'm renting that resource through the marketplace. Would you like to use that resource? And then you have the people who are developing the AIMs, the machines themselves that are in the marketplace that run with those nodes. And we're matching them. We're matching them. The marketplace is bringing them together. So there's royalties that the developer will receive for that software. There's royalties and income that the node operator who's providing the hardware that will receive from that. And then there's the more passive opportunity, and that's the third one. The passive opportunity has to do with the larger ecosystem partners that Hypercycle attracts from the top, right? Like, for example, YMCA, very large partner that we brought in. They have 65 million users. Some percentage of that user base has application building happening that they need, and that the application is going to run on Hypercycle. So we're going to see revenue. Anyone on the Hypercycle network that has a node factory that is part of that compute is going to see revenue from YMCA using that. That's the third income opportunity right now. There's actually, I'm going to speak to a fourth one. The thing you have to remember about this, it is open source. You are a business owner. So you're not limited to being in one marketplace. If there is some agent network out there that lets you, say, hey, I'm a compute provider. This is how I run. can I provide my resources to you and be paid by you? So you're free to contract and commerce with the AI compute economy anywhere in the world, right? And the idea is the integration now. Question is, how do you integrate yourself in that way? Way that a lot of people don't know about. Again, because when you have a node factory and you have a hyper appliance, either an H2 or an H1, and then the H3, the neuron that's coming out here very soon, those two together, you're your own business, and that particular combination enables you to deploy what we're calling the AIM, which is the application of the service. So if you have an AIM on there that you've deployed, there's a wallet that you've connected, the AIM is deployed, it's authenticated by the wallet, has funds in it, and that AIM has a revenue stream. Now you yourself have a revenue stream from the AIM that you've deployed from your box. That the capability to do that is right there, right now. There's nothing else that has to happen. It's just a matter of knowing which of those aims has a revenue stream. And so that's part of what Hypercycle is also doing, what the C8 program is going to help in the education and the onboarding. It's going to help you know about that registry, which of the aims have revenue, how to turn them on, how to deploy them, how to participate and start earning revenue. So I just want to let people know that that capability is already there. It's just not, it's not user friendly just yet. It's not like on the application or some fancy dashboard. That's what's in the pipeline. That's what we're building right now. And that's part of what C8 is going to be bringing.
No, I just would like you to touch on about entry points. How much is in a license today that people could collaborate in the network? I know that the token is not a price talking here. It's just to have how to say a comparison maybe in the future when people are actually seeing this interview. I think the token is 4 cents of dollar, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken. And the last time I checked, the license was around almost $200 USD, almost that. This is the entry point you're talking about, a token
Yeah,
and
that's
1,424 token to be merged and the fees, so you actually can create your node factory.
correct. That is one of the entry points. So yeah, 4 cents on the dollar for a token. You need 1,024 tokens for one license. That enables the license. The license right now is anywhere from about $100 to 200, 250. And that range is coming from it's in a marketplace called Node Market IO. It's where you get these licenses right now. And it's an OTC, it's an open exchange. You can directly commerce with others in the marketplace. The range in cost is coming from the reputation of the license. Some of these licenses have been doing what's called tilling. They've been operating and forming a reputation since October of 2 years ago. So they're very close to being able to do something called splitting. I'll describe that in a second. But that the fact that they have a longer history of reputation is what gives them a higher value in the marketplace. So you might pay 200, 250, or even more for a license that has that reputation, as opposed to one that's just started tilling more recently or has no reputation at all.
Touch on about the splitting, I think is very important too, because you actually are growing a business inside the business.
That's right. The business kind of grows itself when it's operating properly. So going back to the analogy of the neuron and of cells in general, as we understand them from a biological perspective, right? Cells go through a process of cell division where one replicates its DNA and becomes two. Okay. So in Hypercycle's world, that license that you marry to 1,024 tokens can split up to 10 times. And when it does that through binary, you end up with 1,024 nodes. That one first node that has that same computational effort and power and revenue grabbing ability can now be exponentially brought up to 1,024 through the splitting function. And the way the split works is through the reputation of the node. How long has it been on the network? How available has it been? What is its uptime? And what is the quality of its output, quality of its compute? Once a node hits a score of 2.0, it qualifies for a split. So now that neuron becomes two neurons that can both do the same work. And if there's revenue being generated by one, now you have two that can generate the same revenue. So you just doubled your generating power. assuming that you have a marketplace for compute and revenue generation. When that next node, any of these two nodes split, now you have four in it, and it starts to follow binary exponential power until you get to 1024. So there's quite a bit of potential in generating revenue and rewards from this network, assuming that you have compute partners, you have a demand that's there. And Hypercycle is, and I think a lot of people at this point, we see where AI is going. We see where it already is. So there's kind of this sort of infinite demand for compute, right? And we saw what China did with DeepSeek. It made compute available at a lower cost, right? So we could do more with less. That's what we saw with DeepSeek, for example. And we actually tested some DeepSeek AI model machines within Hypercycle, and we were very happy with the results. Which allows me to segue over to another part of the ecosystem of Hypercycle. So Hypercycle is the software, right? There's the protocol that governs the business of the license and the node operator, and the communication that is happening between one node and the other. Okay, one neuron and another. So, for example, if you have a task, an application that's solving some problem for you, and it's being overwhelmed with demand, the node can ask another node, "Can you help me with this task? I need actually 100 helpers." So the network can scale itself, just like in your own, that's the same way the brain works. If you put your focus to a specific task, you have more neurons acting and orchestrating on behalf of that particular task. Okay. Same thing happens in the hypercycle networks. What it's built to do is to scale to the demand that is present within the environment that it's computing in. So that's really important because we see what's happening with AI and with the demand for compute. So we want to be able to respond to it, and we want to create an economy around that anybody can participate in. And so that's where the Hyper Appliance partnership comes in. Hyper Appliance is the physical infrastructure that runs the software Hypercycle. So Hyper Appliance is a box, a little computer that is customized and designed to run this license for you that you can interact with. It has a screen, there's an application on a phone, and it's very plug and play. The idea is you plug it into your internet, you set it up, you advertise your compute in a marketplace that we're building, and you start to see income coming through that little appliance that you have sitting in your home. So now anybody who was able to just plug this in and go through a little wizard on their phone can participate in the compute economy. That's what Hypercycle and Hyper Appliance together as partners are endeavoring to do, is make it easy for all of these different kinds of people who aren't necessarily technically savvy. You don't have to be a developer to do this. You don't have to be some tech savvy person who knows all these things. If you know how to plug in your microwave and your toaster or even your computer or charge your phone, then you can participate in this economy with us. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it very plug and play, easy for you to participate in an economy that has so much demand. And that demand then now comes in through the ethos of the network and out to the edges, where some of those communities that are needing that financial support and to become part of that economy are. That's the model that I'm seeing built by Hypercycle right now.
When we double, let's say I have a license and came the time, I need as a business partner, I need to have more, 1,024 tokens to feed this new license that just came on my networking, on my inventory.
No, that's the reason why you start with 1,024 tokens. So all the tokens that the node license and its splitting function is ever gonna need is there from the beginning. So you can think of that node as a stem cell that is the parent for every other cell that divides after that. And it's able to feed each one of those with that token allocation. So for example, the first split, you have 512, then you have 256, right? And it keeps going up and up from there until you have one token for one license. So one license can split up to 10 times and have 1,024 different licenses off of that first marriage, calling it a marriage. inside of the Node factory.
And about being easy to do stuff, it was easy enough to create a node factory, and I hope it's easy enough to operate a H tree because we have a H1, H2, and now we're in a H3. That's the most upgraded version. I think some people got already. We don't have the box on demand at the moment, guys, but
Right.
you can check
Coming.
down the link in the description and you can subscribe to find more information about. But is anything else you would like to address, Ray? Maybe the C8, maybe a little bit about the certifications from people that actually got the Node Factory until.
Yes. So the C8 is a kind of like a business entrepreneurship mentorship education program, I guess you can say, that's out there to enable Node Factory owners because there's a passive element to this opportunity, and then there's also a proactive element to the opportunity. And what the C8 does is enable you to be proactive about building your business. How are you going to go and magnetize more business toward your compute and what you're offering, right? So there's two aspects to the business. One is how many licenses you're operating, okay? And then there's where those licenses are being hosted. What hardware resources are the licenses enabling, right? If you own if you own both of those pieces, the revenue stream or the rewards that you're going to get for that is higher than if you just own one or the other of those two pieces, right? So the more you own of that total stack, the more you're going to see in reward.
No, I think that's it. And if you like to share any news that is coming up, everybody likes a little bit of juice in the end of the video that you could share with the community.
Else is coming down. One thing that just got released here within the last hour is something that people have been actually waiting for is our Hypercycle block explorer. So the network explorer that gives you more of a visual experience of where the network is, how many nodes are at, how many node factories are active, what is the total amount of token that is in those nodes and in circulation as opposed to the total supply. And also, I think probably one of the biggest benefits to this tool that I want everybody to know about. So I'm also I do quite a few different things for Hypercycle. I'm in customer success, which is primarily support tickets for people who are having issues with the application or with the Hyper appliance or whatever, right? I'm in that role. I'm in biz development. I'm in software working groups. I'm developing software actually now also that runs on these boxes. I'm part of the team that's designing and building the new H3, the home portal neuron that we wait till you guys see this thing. I love it. It is elegant. It is very sweet, very efficient. It's a really exciting piece of hardware and appliance that we've designed for you guys. So really excited about that. So back to the Explorer. One of the things that's been happening is the HTS tilling service, right? So when you set up a node factory, there's a whole tilling that you want to be doing for the node to be active and for you to be gaining rewards in node market. When you create a node factory with the application, you automatically start earning rewards in the nodemarket.io. And you go over there, you connect your wallet, and you see the rewards that you're earning that are proportional to the number of node factories that you have. Okay. So tilling is actually compute. It's just a very basic form of compute that says, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm up, I'm gaining a reputation. That's what tilling does. So there's a service that is offered by HTS, by Hypercycle. You pay for that. It's $5 a month, $60 for I think a year or whatever it is, and it just goes off in different subscriptions. In some cases, and those of you who've been with Hypercycle, there have been cases where the tilling is not working or it's down, development of the application, cutting edge, you were having issues with this and whatnot. So the Explorer is a good place for you to make sure that your licenses are tilling. But you can take your license number and take it to the Explorer, plug it into the Explorer, and it'll tell you, I'm alive, I'm dead, these are my heartbeats, this is my uptime. Eventually, that split score that we were talking about earlier, that 2.0, that's going to be there in a future release of the Explorer. So you'll know, oh, my license is ready to split. So I'm going to perform that function, go back to my application and have my splitting experience. So that's what the Explorer is doing now. I've been using that daily to help users answer these questions. and make sure that each of their licenses are active, are up, are gaining reputation. So now there's a way for you to find out for yourself more easily. There have been two ways. There's been the application that shows you, and then now there's the Explorer that you can go to and just launch and just look at whatever licenses you want to look at.
I was talking another day in the group that the way we create the node factors and everything was so much easy than it would be running nodes in other network. And I hope people feel curious about researching about Hypercycle, find out more about the app, about the license, about the node factory, and maybe they can think for themselves. Wait a minute. I missed the entire Bitcoin stuff. Didn't have a miner, never got into Bitcoin at all. But now I got all this other network like Hypercycle where I can have an income as I do the things I love. It's what I thought about Hypercycle. I could have an income while I do things that I love, maybe with my family, maybe traveling. I know you are like
Right.
me, you love traveling, so I think that kind of fit the opportunity and the way I would like to work in few years. I don't want to be working full time, even in crypto. I would like to enjoy more life. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that, I think, it's, a lot of us who came into crypto, I would say midway, because in the beginning it was mining, right? So you had in the very beginning, you can mine Bitcoin on your laptop. I remember I had a friend that was a very early adopter of Bitcoin, and he mined 400 Bitcoin. And at the time, mining Bitcoin and taking a currency in one form and bringing it to the pizza shop down the street that accepts Bitcoin, he bought a pizza with 400 Bitcoin. Okay. So of course, that's a pain point because now that 400 Bitcoin's worth God how many millions of dollars. But the point of that is, if you're not, of course, in that case, it was about the power of what the technology was capable of doing, right? He was able to take an activity on his laptop, some virtual digital activity, and turn that into something that he could buy food with. Okay. Now you can buy, a small island with it. But so that's the learning lesson. Obviously, in that case, that opportunity is still that we're very like for an opportunity like Hypercycle, we're early. We're that early now. We're in that early stage where you have this wealth creation vehicle that is Hypercycle within the AI demand economy that we see everywhere, right? We see how important it is to be able to provide resources to this activity of AI that's taking place on this planet, and that's what Hypercycle.
That's brilliant, Ray. Thank you very much for your time to come here and give some of information to people. Some people don't understand the power of video, the power of us being here and dedicate some of our time teaching people, telling them about projects, about news, about updates, and how important we be in touch so we actually can keep up reading and learning and maybe if we put the right eggs in the right baskets, we can actually be free financially someday if we were approach crypto not just about trading, but also about building business and business model and maybe creating startups or even come to Catalyst with an idea with no aid at all, and then the community like your idea, they vote for you, and then you get that empower thing. I feel it in Catalyst, I feel it in Cardano, in NFTs and other nodes, and I think very soon we're going to start knowing this story where people change their lives being part of our community in Hypercycle.
Yeah, that's the way it works. And I want to leave you all with this, this is where we are now, finally. Took a long time to get here, but here we are. So let's say you have an idea, this cool idea, this problem that you want to solve. Back in the day when applications first started appearing on phones, you had to build the application, submit it to the App Store of Apple or Android, Google Play, or whatever, and hope that somebody buys it for $1, $5, 99 cents, or whatever your selling point was in that marketplace. And the process to get the application onto the phone was quite laborious, right? A lot of hours, a lot of work, and and know-how and teams of people and everything. Now, with where things are, even now with ChatGPT and Google's Bard and DeepSeek and Olama and all these other models out there that you can communicate and chat with, you can bring an idea to this ChatGPT, let's say, hey, I want to build an application. And you go through the process of it helping you build an application. And when you're ready and you have the parameters of the application that this ChatGPT has helped you create, it creates you can create a very simple file with that. It's called a Docker file. You bring that over to Hypercycle. Hypercycle creates an application that runs on your Hyperbox. And now you can present your idea to the world. It's not just an idea anymore. As a business owner, not only are you creating the application, you're also providing the infrastructure and the environment for that application to run and be able to connect with other applications in a marketplace. So you
Yes.
see the opportunity. It's a huge opportunity now. You can take your idea, talk to an AI, it helps you build the application, but now you have a place to bring the application, because otherwise you would have to find someone to host that for you or run it for you or whatever. You can take the idea all the way from it being a thought in your head to it being something running off the electrical power of your electrical outlet on your home, to an application that the world is paying you for. You see what I'm saying? That's where it is now. And that's why that power that was at the center and corporations, large, even medium sized, and now small little business owners who own a node factory can do all of that for themselves and serve people in the world with that technology. I believe that's powerful, and that's what's Hypercycle.
Everyone. So thank you very much again.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely having you here and being in this space. And thank you, all of you who are here watching this and learning from this. And, if you want to take it a step further, come to the Telegram chat of Hypercycle, go to hypercycle.ai, visit us online. Hyperappliance.ai is the box and everything happening there. That website is there as well. And just come be curious. And I look forward to surprising you and supporting you in your adventure in this space.